16 for February 7th, 2022. I'm your program host, Kevin Derryberry. Next to me is my broadcast partner for the ACU football program is Ed Cole. Eddie Cole, my man. How are you on this Monday evening?
Mr. Derryberry, good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. I am pumped up. I talked to Coach Coop early in the day, and I think anybody that talks to Coach Cooper is ready to deck somebody or hit somebody on the football field immediately after conversation. 3 Tech, just get down there and put a shoulder into somebody. It could have been at Fry's grocery store. It could have been anywhere at where I got chicken earlier in the day. But I tell you what, I'm pumped up about talking with head coach Jeff Bowen about our new incoming class here, and boy, we got it down on both sides. We've got guys coming in for the 2022 class, of course, but the spring session as well as the fall group, and we're going to be loaded for bear, I assure you. We're going to talk to JB about that. Coach Bowen will be here, and think about this. All ACU did was score 43 points a bowl game last year, 6th in the country. They went 8-2, 17-4 in the last 2 years for ACU's football program, and they just keep going like this, Ed.
Just ascending.
Ascending upwards.
Success breeds guys wanting to come here to the Firestorm.
We'll talk with tennis coach, men's and women's tennis coach, Mr. Phil Carlisle will be on the program later in the segment, probably segment 3, because we're going to keep JB here for at least 2 segments as we talk about his new class, 51. 51, that's the number that we're going to go with in 2022.
Yes.
We got a lot of great people to discuss and bring up, but I want to mention a couple of things. If you looked around campus at all in the last week, you've seen the construction going up. The light poles are in place. We're talking LED, sophisticated lighting. The best lighting that money can buy is going up on all the turf fields out towards the west side of campus. So I'm pumped for that too. Night football, perhaps, once things kind of the dust settles, but there's a great chance we'll play some night football this year. We'll ask Coach Bowen about that. But it's happening right here on campus on 1 West Firestorm Way.
Kevin, the growth here at Arizona Christian University, it's astronomical. It's going through the roof, and it's a great time to be a member of the Firestorm.
ACU's baseball program, they are red hot. They continue that torrid pace. I think we're 9-1 now. Coach Joe McDonald, career win number 100 this past weekend, and that was against British Columbia. The T-Birds on Saturday. We had a walk-off win against the number 4 team in the country. How about Daniel DeRozzo? I'll tell you what, Joe Mack's got a great set of coaches. We talked to Coach Flatten on a show a couple weeks ago. Great group of chemistry, tremendous kids, and these guys are workers, and Joe McDonald leading the way. Baseball is rock and rolling. Basketball, a big one here this weekend against William Jessup. They're number 6 in the nation, and they will invade the event center, and that has a lot to do with who's going to win the Golden State Athletic Conference in the round ball form of things. A lot of excitement on campus, Ed.
Oh, Kevin, it is great when these nationally ranked teams come in here, regardless of the sport, and the Firestorm can play well and beat these nationally ranked teams. That bodes really well for the program, no matter what sport it is.
And Rusty Rogers' group, they went 3-0 last week, too, so they're rocking and rolling, and they've turned things around. We took with Rusty Rogers last week, another great guy leading the way for these young ladies on the basketball program. All right, enough of us, and let's talk with JB. We'll bring him up next. We're going to talk a little college football. How about NAIA Division I college football for your Arizona Christian University Firestorm? All coming up here on the Tower Grill right here from ACU. Welcome back to the Storm Report right here live from the Tower Grill. You can watch this globally on the GSAC Sports Broadcast Network. This is head coach Jeff Bowen. He is to my left. Coach, welcome in on this fine Monday night.
How you doing?
We're doing great. Congratulations on your recruiting class. I think at this point, every coach in America is pretty geeked about who they brought in. We have no idea how it's going to work out, but it's all about the process and how you go about it. Not everybody is a fit at Arizona Christian University. How do you go about discerning who the right fit is? We know you're going to check those boxes as far as needs and position and strength and depth and those kinds of things, but it's character that kind of surfaces to the top when it comes to recruiting here on campus.
Well, obviously the first thing that draws you when you see a kid is obviously his ability to play. I mean, that's part of it. You know, we're trying to build a championship quality program here. But from there, then it comes down to those 4 core values and the code of ACU football, you know, faith, family, future, football, and faith's a big part of it. We have kids sign with us because of that exclusively, and we're very upfront in our recruiting visits about what it's like to be a student here and being challenged in growing in your faith. And Randy Chambers, we put Randy in front of these kids. There's no doubt about what the requirements are going to be when you come to ACU as a student. And it's actually kind of cool to watch the parents and the student athletes when they're here kind of get a feel for what we really are, you know, as a university and what we do other than football. And so that's good. And there's no shortage of kids that want to play here, which is great.
The numbers are outrageous right now. We've got great numbers. It's been that way the last several years. You continued again to rise upwards in that category. But we've got 14 that are already signed on campus. They're going to school here, and they're ready for the fall season to begin. But they're spring eligible, so you'll see them at the spring game. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But you also have another 37 on the way for next fall. What do you like about this recruiting class, Coach?
We wanted to get every coach says the same stuff, so we could put it on tape. But, you know, we want to get bigger. We want to get faster. We want to get longer. There were some positional needs that we felt we needed to address, and we addressed those. We want to recruit Arizona. We are the true Arizona University, Arizona Christian University. So we're Arizona and men of faith. So those are the 2 criteria. We signed some great Arizona kids.
16 to be exact.
Yep. And, you know, a lot of our staff is Arizona coaches, so we have that. And so that's an advantage for us. We're Arizona, we're homegrown. And so we're out trying to find Arizona kids to play for us. And they were, again, Arizona was our number one state, as it should be. And then we look nationally. And I tell you what, man, my staff works their tail off, you know, going above and beyond as far as finding and really researching and looking for the good fits in the states that we've tagged. And we've done really well in California is our number 2 state again. And then Texas and Florida, we hit it really well. Illinois, I mean, and then we can go on and on. I think, I don't know, 16, 17 different states or something. So the staff did a great job of finding our needs around the country.
You guys are spreading your wings, Ed.
Yeah. Coach, when it comes to technology, video, and social media, you know, Twitter, Instagram, all this other stuff, how does that factor into your recruiting? Does that make it a little bit easier? Does that make the process a little bit easier? I know you're a man that wants to see, like, you want to get an eyes-on look at at a lot of these kids, but does the technology and the comeuppance of it, does that make it a little bit easier for you to look at these kids and say, okay, I want our guys to go out and do a visit with this athlete or this athlete, meet with these families?
Yeah, you know, I'm an old school guy. I like to look someone in the eye and shake their hand and see how they react face to face. But that's not the world we live in anymore. So, you know, technology is always a big part of what we do, and we have guys on our staff that do a great job of using those technology, you know, tools. And I think we do a great job of it. Like I think we cracked 10,000 this week on our football Twitter account. So we have the largest Twitter account on campus, you know, with the football program. So I think we do a good job of that. And it's a way to start. It's a way to start the relationship with the young man. But ultimately, we want to see him face to face.
I look at some of the guys that we have to reload and retool with, and we lose a tremendous amount of character, a lot of playmaking ability. Kelly McPeck comes to mind. I know Luke Verbalitis has moved on, and guys like that. My center from San Francisco.
Oh, Ryan
Vanderwerf.
Yeah, Vanderwerf.
So
I
Vandy.
didn't know if you were pointing at me or
it was like a trivia question. I got another trivia question about our incoming recruiting class as well. But yeah, it was Ryan Vanderwerf.
Vandy, yeah.
Guys like that. Basically, 3/5 of our line we've got to retool and reload with. So there's some guys there that we want to talk about. But I want to start off with the wide receiver position because you guys added 15 wide receivers. And I know we're moving on, but I want to bring these numbers up because Johnny Cole, it was one of the most sensational players that's ever suit him up here and lace him up here at ACU. So he played in 29 games, 190 career receptions, 6.5 receptions a game, 3,222 yards, 29 touchdowns. He led the nation as a senior with 135 yards a game. You just can't find people like that were committed to the game like he is and has a bright future like him. But Johnny Cole will be a guy that we'll have to reload with, but maybe it'll take 15 guys to do something like that, to get that kind of production.
That's our job. That's our job, to find another young man or young men who can fit in and take that role. Love John. John did a great job for us. Excited about his future. Hopefully he gets a shot at the next level. But you know what? We just reload.
Right.
We brought in some really good talent. We're excited about it, and then we also have some really fine returners that we're starting to get their time. We played a lot of receivers. I mean, we put it all over the ballpark. So we're going to play a lot of guys, and we may even play more this year. And then just let it rise. Let the competition clear the table and see who the top dog is. Yeah, John's a tough one to replace. Sid at the tight end spot, tough to replace. The three linemen, you bet. But you know what? We got guys that have been working through that with the line, so they'll be stepping into some roles. We brought in some new guys and signed some really good guys. And then same with the receivers. We bring in that many for two reasons. One, let them fight it out. Competition breeds success,
Absolutely.
And two, we're going to travel 12 or so receivers. So we're going to play a lot of guys. So we needed to sign that number.
Who do you like in that wide receiver group?
On the new guys? The new guys that we have on campus right now, Josiah Westbrook out of Washington. He's really shown some skills we like. Quentin Russett-Cordor, we've been recruiting him for a while. These are big, rangy kids that can go get the ball. They may not be the small twitch guys like John was, but they're going to go get it. They got good top-end speed, 50-50 balls, throw it up and let them go get it. And
mixed in with the take the top off as well?
Yeah, they can run. I mean, it's not like they're slow, And then we got some Donovan Bailey. He's a kid that went away to Garden City Community College out of Florence, Arizona, and he's with us. And Justin Gutierrez is a kid out of Santan Foothills. So those are our mid-year guys that are on campus right now. And then and then you look at the incoming freshman class. One we're really excited about is Fabian Baez out of Illinois. He's about 6'3", 6'4"-ish kind of kid.
From Schaumburg.
Yeah, out of Illinois.
Yeah.
And he is – pull up his highlight tape. And talking about – he's a kid on beast mode, man. The kid's tough. He's tough, physical with the ball in his hands. We're excited about him. And then I could go on forever. We've got some local kids that can come in and work at the slot stuff just down the road here.
Mr. Co-op.
Yeah, well, we got our returners.
Cactus?
Yeah. Zach is back. DA is back. So we got I could go on. The receiver room is packed, and so we're excited about it.
Coach, I got to see Elijah Sports Trot, the young man from Centennial High School. Saw him yesterday at the Desert Storm Classic. I love the way he plays the game of football. What did you see from him when you were looking at him?
Same thing, typical. And don't take this as a bad thing. A typical Centennial type of player. Centennial has been they had a little down year last year, but they're perennially one of the top programs in the state of Arizona. I experienced that firsthand as a high school coach. He fits that mold. Tough kid, smaller size, kind of an H type guy for us, and in the slot can do some things, catches the ball well, and plays with some quickness.
Kevin mentioned that needing to reload the offensive line, needing 3/5 are gone. See, we signed 5 offensive linemen. What do you like from the 5 that you signed?
Mid-year guy we brought in from NAU.
Seamus Button?
Seamus was originally an Arizona kid, Walden Grove, went to NAU, we got him. So I'm excited about that. So we'll see how he fits in here in the fall. In the spring, and then in the fall we bring in some freshmen that obviously the one people are talking about is the Mason Cullip kid, two-time All-Stater. The kid's tough. I mean, he had some Division I looks and stuff, and hey, whatever happened, God brought him to us, and we're excited about him. I'm sure it helped that his parents knew where the parking lot was and how to get around here, having Big Brother on campus. But obviously, totally different player. He's an offensive lineman, and Zach's a wide receiver, and tough kid. I'm excited about him.
Membership has its privileges right there, Coach. Yeah. With obviously the younger brother as Zach, but I was told that this is a road grading type of offensive lineman. That Mahler category has a chance to really be a fine player. And when again we're talking about reloading.
If you look on Twitter, you'll see people are going, "Wow, ACU got a steal with the Cullip kid and stuff," and so we're excited. We're really excited about him.
Let's go to the other side of the ball. Cornerback's always a coveted spot, and you can never have enough solid corners. I think we experienced a little bit of that during the year last year. But Jaquari Godfrey bounced back out of the University of Southern Cal. They're going through coaching changes there. Who knows what it's up? What's happening with Mr. Godfrey in his life. But out of San Lorenzo, California, another guy that is in that could be a real steal for you, Coach.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. We were really excited about bringing Jaquari in. Obviously, if you can sign with USC out of high school, you have some talent.
Right. They did a little homework.
They did some homework there. So we're going to see how that plays out, and excited about him. And then let's see, Cameron Irving out of Fresno City College. Really like what we saw with that young man. You can't have enough corners. We signed as many quality corners as we could find, and we really loaded up the room. I like those guys.
How about the namesake Jalen Jammer? That's a football name.
It fits. Doesn't
yeah,
it?
It's really
Jalen Jammer. Yeah, defensive back out of Texas. And then how about see if you guys can pronounce that Yangweso. Andrew, the cornerback out of Washington. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we got some names that you guys get to work on. And Quadrin Jones, we're excited about him, the kid out of Florida. And the one that we think is a real sleeper, Keelan Robinson. He played in an all-star game down in Florida. He played safety, corner, linebacker, defensive end, all in one game.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's versatility at its finest.
Really, we'll see where he ends up. We're going to start him out, working out there at corner to start with, but we'll see where he ends up. But again,
this is the young man from Dillard High School, right? Listed as a defensive lineman, and we're going to start him at corner. That's where we're going to.
He can do it all,
first.
Kevin.
Yeah,
he's gonna work there and progress, and we'd like to bring edge pressure too, so we can mix it up with them.
Coach, I like Brett Santamaria. I saw him a couple of weeks ago at one of the showcases, and the young man from Buena High School. Mm-hmm. I like Brett. What did you see from Santamaria?
Same thing. We're looking the back end. We were looking for a bigger, taller, and if it wasn't tall, at least long arm kind of kid. Just like every other program's looking for,
Javon Curse kind of players, right?
Yeah, just
long, lanky, guys that we call the freak.
If I can find a few studs, some Ronnie Lotts, and some Ronnie Lott sleepers, and we'll look for those too. And but we think we definitely got better on the back end, and then we're getting healthier. Mm-hmm. if we can get healthy with the guys that return and then these guys come into the mix, I think we really shored up some stuff in the secondary.
We're speaking with head coach Jeff Bowen of the ACU football team as the 2022 class brought in 51 new signees. Let's get to the tough ones right here. Let's start in the quarterback position. We have a great room. We've had a great room since you've arrived on campus. You and Donnie have really been put an emphasis on getting a quarterback at ACU, and we've had some good ones over the years. We add Brady Martin, another D1 bounce back out of ASU. That's Arkansas State University. Got a little excited there. A guy from ASU coming here. We've seen it happen before. But and then Brock Mast. He's a state champion in 2019 at Liberty. Beat Red Mountain in that 2019 game at Sun Devil Stadium. But you add more competition to the room with Tyler Duncan. And is Shea Morales back, or is he graduated? Because I know I saw him on campus. He's still putting his time in here, still trying to finish up that degree. But I still think that Shea might be in the mix as well.
You know, if Shea comes to me and says, "Hey, Coach, I changed my mind. I'm going to take that last season," we would take him back with open arms. He's a Firestorm family. Love him to death. But we talked a lot at the end of the season, and I really think he's wrapping up the degree.
Okay.
And looking at other things, you know, going on with life, just like
Sure.
all of us know this. You're not going to play the game forever. And we preach that to our kids, and I love the way our kids come to us and just sit down and talk. And so the same talk we gave them when we first signed them. You're here for 4 or 5 years to set you up for the next 50 years. And if we've done that with your faith and the way you're going to be as a young man in the community and as a father one day, then we've done our job. And Shea couldn't be more proud of him. And if he, I know if he doesn't, you know, if he's not back, he'll be there cheering us on.
He's a playmaker. Whenever you asked him and you called his number, he was prepared to play.
Yep. Great kid.
Coach, faith, family, future football. That's what it's all about here at ACU, right?
People I don't know if they get tired of hearing it, but they're going to keep hearing it as long as I'm here.
Well, Coach, you're building on your success from 2 seasons ago. We mentioned 17-4, the Sooner Athletic Conference champions a season ago, your first national championship opportunity against Kaiser, and you just keep rising up and you keep adding to the mix here. And if you would, just share a little bit about the coaching staff and what they've done. We mentioned it at the top, but Coop and Nelly and all the guys collectively, they went almost on a global search here to find some talent here. And again, the idea here is it was a successful signing class.
Yeah. The whole group. First, you got to give Coop a lot of credit. Sean did a great job as our recruiting coordinator, and that's a tough job, you know, and a lot of times thankless job. But when you look at the whole thing, what he does is key. And then the guys that are in the office full time, you know, Ben Harris, Brett Nelson, Coach Kruk, Coach Sewell, Art Alfred, you know, those guys just work their tails off. And then, hey, let's be real. You know, we got a 15 to 19 person staff, and those guys that are off campus, they're doing their regular job, you know, taking care of their family, and then they're recruiting. You know, the kids out of Florida we got because Coach Shelton and Coach Williamson were working camps down there and found these kids and developing those relationships. And you know, and those guys do a great job also. And Coach Bain finding the special teams guys, and now his connections into Illinois. We signed 3 kids out of Illinois this year with his connections. So, you know, the guys do a great job of just making us better, you know, and it's a pleasure to work with them. I mean, I may steer the ship, but these guys all work really, really hard. Really proud of the staff.
That's awesome. Well, Coach Carlisle's here. Coach, we wanted to talk about the spring ball and when this is going to kick off. Can you give us some information on when the practices are going to start? I know we also kicked around the idea of possibly streaming the first spring game.
Yeah, we hit the field on the 21st of February. We start early. I like to start spring ball early so we can get it done earlier, so to get some stuff done at the end of the year. So we're going to start early. We'll go 2 weeks, and then we'll be off for spring break, and then we'll go 3 more weeks. Practice 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then film, you know, Tuesday, Thursday meetings and all that kind of good stuff. And then we'll finish up with the spring game April 2nd, and we'll tie that into our junior day, and we may even have some 22s on campus that we're still looking at that haven't signed somewhere, that we may be bringing them on campus too. So it's going to be a full day that Saturday, April 2nd. Really excited about it. You guys talked about it. I mean, drive down the street by the school and you see 28 amazing looking light poles, and they're not your normal stuff. I mean, President Munsell and the board and just everybody that's involved in John Klein, everyone that's involved with those decisions, making sure we're not just throwing stuff up here at ACU. It's top-notch, high-quality stuff. And, it's going to take time, and everyone wants it now. But the reality is some really good stuff is happening. And, I was out there. I sat out there and watched the poles go up for a couple hours. It was actually kind of relaxing, got out of the office and watched them put up some poles. Hopefully we can maybe we'll even have that spring game with the lights on and have you guys out and do your thing.
Two quick comments for you, Coach, in parting ways here. Coach Shelton, love what he brings to the table and his element and his dynamic of coaching, but there was some conversation on Twitter about the best defensive player in the National Football League. We can go on about that for eons, but they were talking about Aaron Donald, and he's slightly undersized, but Aaron Donald is a beast, and he deserves all the accolades that he's received. But Coach Shelton said, have you ever heard of Lawrence Taylor? And you immediately think you got to go throwback. And despite the transgressions of Lawrence Taylor off the field, the dude was clearly the most dominant defensive player ever. So I'm with Coach Shelton. The New York Giant Hall of Famer Lawrence Taylor was the guy that started beast mode.
Well, if you sit around and talk with enough of us old guys, we'll pull up names for you.
Dick Butkus. When we go back and forth, I'm sure.
You're talking about you have a stud and you got to replace him. What are you going to do? I don't know. You go Joe Montana to Steve Young. That's what you do. So
right.
We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go from John Cole to fill in the blank. We'll see who fills that.
And Coach, we owe you a thank you. I know you paid out some homage to your players, your recruiting class, your coaches. They all did a fine job. But Coach, we thank you for as you say, steering the ship, and we appreciate what you do for our football program. And I know the student athletes and coaches all adore the opportunity to hang out with you and to learn your faith and have you guide everybody. So we appreciate you, Coach.
Appreciate everything you guys do. It's a lot of fun. We love doing it, and what more can you ask for? You get to coach football and work with these young men and wear shorts every day. It's a pretty good life.
Can I get your best
Not a bad gig.
Can I get your best love 30? Love 30. Love 30. We're going to talk
30.
a little tennis.
Oh, love
with Coach Phil Carlisle. Love 30.
Love 30.
Do you even know what that means?
Deuce.
I don't know what it means.
It's basically 2-0.
2-0, exactly.
Okay. Is that what it is, Coach?
See?
Okay.
That's Jeff Bowen. He's the front man for ACU Football. 51 on the way for the 2022 class. We're all proud. JB, thank you very much. Let's talk a little
Coach.
tennis with Phil Carlisle. Straight ahead. Don't go away.
Roll Storm.
Roll Storm.
Welcome back to the Storm Report special. Thank you to head coach Jeff Bowen for taking the time to visit with us here on the Storm Report. Episode 16. Can you believe it, Ed? We're cruising right along.
16. I love it.
In the middle, the man in the middle right now is Phil Carlisle, now in his second year. You have an interesting task, Coach. First is we want to welcome you to the show and welcome you to the broadcast. But
Thank you.
You are the lead tennis coach, the head tennis coach for the men and the women. That has got to be one of those things where if you're not sharp and you have detailed your time management, things could get wobbly in a hurry.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge to do both, but I love it. I love the differences in the men's game and the women's game. They're two totally different things. So each day, each practice feels like two different practices, and that may seem like it's not a good thing or difficult, but for me, it's a lot of fun. I love planning two different things, so we don't go to practice and do one thing with the guys and then just repeat and do the exact same thing with the girls. It's totally different. So it's a lot of planning, but it's just two different atmospheres, two different cultures, so it's a lot of fun.
Right, and I was thinking what would be some of those differences, because I was trying to figure out what's the best way to ask that question. You kind of alluded to it already. It's night and day as far as how you go about coaching both the men and the women.
Yeah, with the men's game is going to be a little bit faster. It's going to be a little bit bigger, more aggressive, if you want to say. So, we kind of work with that with the guys, whereas the women's game is going to be a little bit more of a grind, a little bit slower. It's a little bit more kind of geometry. How do you work a player into one side of the court and then, open up the weaker side or whatever it may be, whereas the guys, it's going to be a little bit more bang, bang, bang and bigger things. So it's a completely different preparation, completely different style of coaching. There may be some similarities, obviously, but for the most part, it's going to be just completely different.
Fascinating.
Coach, you've got two really cool rosters, some worldwide talent.
Yeah.
Talk about that. You've got them from Germany, Italy, South Africa, all over the world. Just talk about the wealth of talent that you have that you've gotten from that's pretty much global talent.
Yeah. I mean, we're really lucky to be able to have such a diverse group. Tennis is obviously a very global sport. It's not just limited to the United States or anything else. So for us, we have all these different countries, all these different places that we can look at and pull from and recruit from. So it's, the Phoenix area is great, don't get me wrong, but obviously if we have good players that fit the campus, that fit our culture, that are from other countries, we love that. I love having different cultures, different philosophies, different backgrounds on our team. I think it makes for really interesting conversations. It makes for just an interesting dynamic, and yet somehow we all kind of connect and become a family together. So, it's cool. Everybody has just sort of a different background as far as what they've grown up with tennis, whether they've been playing since they were 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever it is, or maybe they started a little bit later. But having that global, everybody has a different style from where they are, and so having that diversity really gives us a lot of different things we can throw at another team, and so we're fortunate. I don't know how many countries we have represented, but it's
7.
it's a lot. Is it 7?
Seven.
Okay.
7.
Yep, it's a lot. So, but it's cool. We love it.
Coach, when it comes to the growth that's on here on campus, how does that help with the recruiting? We talked about it with Coach Bowen in the last segment, just all the construction and what's to come in the future here for the Firestorm and all of its major sports. How does that help with your recruiting? Does that really attract a lot of young men and young women that want to play here?
It does. For me, every time we bring a recruit on campus, it's the goal is to sell a vision of maybe not where we're at yet, but what we're going to be in. And every little step, every bit of progress that's being made is a step closer to that vision. So we love having kids on campus and being able to show them. When I first did my first campus tour, there were no fields. Now when we started doing tours, there was a football field. Then there was a softball field. Then there was a soccer field. Now there's lights. And so every little thing has been a cool part for the kids that are now here that maybe toured last year, and the ones that are touring now and hopefully will be here next year. They're just seeing these little pieces be added. So I think kids really want to be a part of something that's growing. They like the idea of a vision. They like the idea of being part of something to build something. They know we're not where we want to be as a school or as a team, as a program yet, but that we're working there, and they can see that growth, and they know that the administration's supporting that. And so it's easy to sell a vision as you see these little things continue to happen. You see the progress being made. Kids really buy into that, and I think they want to be a part of it.
Coach, we talk about some of those countries. We mentioned 7.
Yeah.
How about Melbourne, Australia?
Yeah.
Guatemala City, Guatemala.
Yeah.
Jasique, Germany.
Yeah.
Marbella, Spain.
Yeah.
Hildenborough, England. Arequipa, Peru, and then Bielefeld, Germany.
Yeah.
We talk about the gamut. This is a global gamut that we're bringing up here. When we talk about recruiting, it might be kind of nice to think that, okay, guess what? I'm working on Anthony Popperin right now. I'm going to be heading to Marbella, Spain for the week.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to Guatemala after this. Like, how do you recruit this type of roster?
Yeah.
You mentioned the vision, and Ed was asking Coach Bowen about social media and things like that. So how has this changed for you to get this type of roster, again, with a global impact?
Yeah, it'd be awesome if I was visiting each of these countries and spending a week or whatnot. But for me, the social media is definitely a huge part of it. That's definitely different from when I started coaching 10 years ago. The social media is huge. When we start talking to a kid or a recruit and we connect with them, we want them to follow our social media. We want them to follow the athletic social media and the school social media. We want them to see what we're about, what our team's about, what our athletic programs are about. But it's just a lot of different people connections that I've made over the years with agencies or just individual recruiters from other countries. Some of it can be word of mouth. Some of it is friends, players on our team talking to friends from their own countries that they used to train with, and now they're looking to come. So there's any number of ways that we'll connect with the international group, but social media is certainly a huge part of that. And then, just those personal connections, even former players. I have former players that played for me before that will send, hey, coach, you should check this guy or this girl out. I think they'd be really a good fit for your school. They'd be interested. So, here's some contact information. So I use
just more networking.
It's the biggest part.
Level.
Yep, that's the biggest part of it, just the networking.
Coach, so much success at the University of Northwestern Ohio. Just looking at your bio, 237 wins, 9 conference championships between the men and the women. When it comes to giving all those numbers out, what attracted you to the Arizona Christian University Firestorm when you were already at a juggernaut that would win year in and year out? And what attracted you to come to Arizona and take this position?
Yeah, I honestly, as much as I try to sell the vision to the recruits and people that come to visit, I think it was a vision that kind of sold me. I think by nature I'm more of a builder, not as much of a sustainer. And so I was very fortunate, very blessed at UNOH to have great teams over the years, and great assistant coaches. And so we were able to build that team into what it was. But that's what I like to do. I think the most fun that I had at UNOH were those first 3 or 4 years really trying to build that. And so when I first spoke to Pete Dreyer and he kind of told me, I knew ACU, I knew Chris Tolson when he was here. And so I knew where the program was and I had seen where it had maybe fallen to. And so when I talked to him and he told me what his vision was for the program, that really excited me to take a program that was at a very high level, had kind of fallen off a little bit, and to get it back there and hopefully maybe, who knows, higher than that or whatever it might be. That was really exciting. I think also just the school itself, the atmosphere, the Christian dynamic is something that for me and my wife, and that's something that we connected to. We were youth leaders at our church back in Ohio, and to be able to now kind of combine those two things, not have to do tennis coaching and youth leadership on the side, or ministry, I guess, on the side, to be able to combine those two things, to be able to coach, do ministry, have those intentional conversations, I think was just something that for me, I told people before, I kind of felt connected to ACU the first time I ever came to Arizona, which was 2018. And so when the job popped open in 2020, it was just an easy thing for me to feel connected to. And again, when I spoke to Pete Dreyer and kind of heard his vision for things, I was pretty sold on it.
The building blocks you had at UNOH, are you bringing those same blocks? Are you putting those strategically in place here with the Firestorm? Yeah,
that's the idea. A lot of the stuff I've told our team, our players, I don't do anything super complicated. I'm not a miracle worker. I'm based on effort, consistency, hard work, mental toughness, attitude, those kinds of things. So those are the things that we've tried to instill from day one. I would like to think that I'm a pretty relational coach, so I like to be able to have personal conversations. I think if the players can buy into me and trust me that I have their best interests at heart, that it's not just to try to go win, that they're my tools or my instruments to go win, but that they trust me, I think they push a little bit harder for that. And so, yeah, a lot of it's been the same, but being able to have those conversations, those intentional conversations, I think has been something that has just been a huge blessing and a lot of fun that I wasn't doing at UNOH.
We're visiting with men's and women's head tennis coach Phil Carlisle on the Storm Report for episode 16. I wonder if Dr. Dreyer is aware that his hiring process is as easy as it sounds like, because every coach we've talked to, if it's not Coach Butterfield with wrestling, Coach Maben with softball, you hear Mr. Carlisle about tennis, And I don't know how the negotiation process is going, but it's got to be a breeze for Dr. D, because everybody, this is the place that they wanted to be, and usually those things are more challenging, but the stars align and the good Lord's watching everybody, so that also comes into play. But we're certainly glad to have you here. I want to ask you about where we're going this year. I know the ladies started off with a big win over Pacific Lutheran University. They won 4-3. Then the fellas went up north a little bit. You took on the Lumberjacks up in the in Flagstaff. A little bit of a tougher competition. We talked about them being a Division I program, so you knew you had your work cut out for them there. And then Tim Gosen reminded us that you were playing indoors too, so that also another wrinkle to the whole thing here. When I think of indoors, I wasn't thinking about playing tennis indoors, but I get the weather and I get the elements. So I'm a clay guy, right?
Yeah, there you go.
I'm a clay guy. I'm a natural grass guy when we talk tennis.
There you go.
But I want to ask you about the fellas. Big win over William Jessup University. They received votes in the preseason top 25 coaches poll, and you came out of there victorious 2 times over.
Yeah, so the NAU match I think kind of played a key part for the rest of the year. We wanted them. NAU is going to be the strongest team that we'll see all year.
Okay.
It's not the only time we'll play indoors, but it's the only time we're going to play indoors at that altitude. So the ball just kind of flies everywhere. It's a lot harder to control.
Wrinkle.
Exactly. And so that was the toughest team in the toughest environment that we're going to play in all year. And so we told the guys, if you can compete in that environment, if you can play, if you can kind of handle the intensity, the pressure, things like that in that environment, there's really nothing on the rest of the schedule that you can't handle. And so that's what, we started it with that just to try to make everything else look a little bit easier. So, when we've played our other match, when we had the Lewis Clark in there on Friday, when we had them, we found ourselves in some tough situations, some tough matches throughout the course of both of those matches. And I think that what we did at NAU, I think what we learned, what we saw there really came into play. I think we handled the tight moments better than they did. Most of the scores were competitive top to bottom. I think we were able to kind of use the energy that NAU had, which they outperformed us in the energy department. But we were able to kind of turn how that affected us, and then we turned around this past weekend and amplified our energy and kind of used that to our benefit against Lewis Clark. So, they were great wins. They were tough wins. I've told the guys I don't think we would have won those matches last year. I think it shows how much they've matured and grown, how much of an impact our new players have had on the atmosphere, the energy, the culture of the team. So it was really good. I think we needed those tough wins early in the season to kind of catapult us moving forward. We didn't need easy wins or easy matches. We needed to be tested and to kind of learn and grow from that as we go.
Western New Mexico University on the slate next, and then Colorado Mesa University. Both of those events at the Paseo Racket Center. What kind of facilities do you have to sell, and do these kids enjoy playing at Paseo?
Yeah, for us, it's wonderful. I mean, it's about a mile from the campus. They have 18 courts with lights. The managers there, Ed and Greg Prudhomme, they are phenomenal to us. They give us basically everything we could ask for. They give us great practice times, match times. We can spread out. Today we could go on 8 different courts in practice. Which it's so nice to have that flexibility. So, and the courts are consistently resurfaced every couple of years. So, facility-wise, I couldn't ask for more. It's wonderful, and like I said, they treat us exceptionally well there. So we've been very blessed, very fortunate to have that. So when we get them out there to play and practice, they love it. Even if it's off campus, it's still really close. And being able to just have that amount of space and an environment that feels very almost professional or pro. All the courts, so much territory there. They get really excited to play there, and I think every time we bring a recruit to Paseo, they kind of fall in love with it.
Do you practice different times for the men and the women, or does everybody get to practice at the same time? How do you kind of juggle that ball?
Yeah, so it's kind of different by the day. Monday, Wednesdays, the two are separate. Tuesday, Thursday, they're together. Fridays, it's kind of up in the air depending. Sometimes we have matches. Sometimes it may be more spread out, split up. Sometimes it's all together. So Fridays are always kind of up in the air. But, when we can keep them separate, we like to do that. But at the same time, having everybody together, the dynamic between our guys and our girls is fantastic. They all get along and really enjoy being around each other. So when they're all together, sometimes we'll mix it in and do a little mixed doubles or play some games just to kind of keep it light, have fun. But
sure, that's cool.
But we definitely, because we have the space, we can do that. We can have 20 people there, and it's no problem.
I'm sure this question I'll ask you depends on the match, but do you learn more about your team in a win or a loss?
Yeah, definitely. Probably more with the match. I think so far I've learned more about them from our wins. Because, again, I think those are matches, even the women 4-3 last week, those are matches that I don't know that we would have won last year. And maybe we would. I don't know that for a fact, but I've learned a lot from them over the last week. I think I've learned and really seen how the fighting spirit, the mental toughness, the energy, the positivity, I think that I've just seen the growth and the maturity in them over this last week, I think more than I have since I've been here. The fall was great. We had a really good fall, a lot of productive things in the fall as well. But seeing them in these tight, close matches, and that we've come out in all three of them, for me has been awesome. It's been huge. I think it's been a huge stepping stone for us for where we're at as a program, where we're trying to go. So I've learned a lot about them from our recent wins. And
you've got two young programs, actually, a lot of freshmen and sophomores. Do you like the youth movement of your programs?
I do. I think it's brought in a really fresh energy. The young players, the freshmen, they always come in motivated. They always come in wanting to prove something, wanting to prove themselves or whatever it might be, and that pushes the older players. That's pushed them to be better, to excel. And like I said, it's just brought a new energy. It's kind of brought a new life to the team. So I love the youth. It does lead to some inexperience, to some mistakes that I would, I kind of shake my head at, thinking that's a freshman move, or that's a sophomore move. But you can laugh it off and know that they're going to learn from that, and so that's made it fun. But it's been our freshman class has been unbelievable. They've been really just brought a whole new energy to the team and to the program, and it's become really attractive, I think, to these other high school students or international students or whatever it might be. So it's been great.
Coach, we mentioned the two games at Paseo, but then you take your act out on the road, and both men and women are going to play the same schedule, it looks like, on the road. So you're going to be in Indiana, first Winona, Fort Wayne, and then, of course, Indianapolis. That's where you'll finish up the three match road trip. But you get number 15 in the country for the men against Grace, and then the women's side of things, they're not ranked, so you're going to have a little some highs and lows, if you will. But the men's schedule, you're playing top ranked teams, a couple in the top 25. How will you prepare for that? And if you would, just describe a couple of your players on both the men and the women's side, and that's it for me.
Yeah, so as far as getting ready for that, I think NAU was a big part of that, at least on the guys' side, to be able to play indoors. We went to Kentucky last year, played a match outdoors, got thrown indoors because it was raining, and I think we only had 3 players on the team that had ever been on an indoor tennis court, and that was rough. To say we played poorly would probably be an understatement. So it's definitely we're going to be a little bit more prepared this time around, knowing that we're going to play indoors. We wanted to get tough teams, right? We're a program that's trying to get ourselves back on the national map, get into the receiving votes, maybe get into the top 25. The only way to do that is to play the teams that are already there. And so that's for us. It's a great opportunity to be able to go east, to be able to play teams on the other side of the country and kind of show ourselves. I'd love to come out with 3 wins. Don't know that that's going to happen, but if we can come out with some competitive matches and really show, ACU's. We may not be all the way back, but we're on the way back. We're getting there, and so that's the main goal, and we're definitely excited about that opportunity. As far as some of the players on the team, on the women's side, we have Deandra Bacchus. She's returning, and she had a great year last year at number 1. In kind of an odd year, we had matches canceled and this, that, and the other. So she's had a strong start. She was a little bit beat up in the fall, but excuse me, but she's doing really well now. So we're excited to see year 2. We've put some other pieces around her that I think have kind of pushed her and helped her excel. So that'll be really cool. The other woman, Vittoria Quadri, she's a freshman this year. She made it to the semifinals of our ITA tournament. She had a great fall. We're excited. She's Deandra's doubles partner, so we're excited to see what she's brought a definite energy. She's brought another level. So we have a very strong top 2 players right now on the women's side, and she's a joy to be around. So that's great. On the men's side, you mentioned Anthony Popperin. He's Pop. He's one of the most talented players I've been around. I mean, in 10 years of coaching, he's one of the top 3 or 4 most talented players I've had. When he's in the right, frame of mind, he can beat just about anybody, and he proved that. He was very strong on Friday against Lewis Clark. I think he lost 6 games in 2 matches. So, at the number 1 line. So, we're always kind of looking at him, kind of counting on him to be the leader, to get that first point. and he's been doing a great job. The other ones I would look at, the two newcomers, Andre Millette and Martin Thomas, they have just been – they're doubles partners, but they have brought so much energy to the team. They bring a positivity and just a joy to being on the tennis court. They always want to practice. They always want to play. And I think that's been really infectious for the rest of the guys. I think they feed off of those two guys. Even though Andre's a freshman and Martin's a transfer, a new student, those guys have just brought an energy that I think has been really helping the rest of the guys kind of pick their energy up and push them to be better.
Andre's from Henderson, Nevada. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, I know.
Henderson?
Lame.
Oh, okay.
Boring. Yeah.
Last one for me, Coach. You got a young lady, your assistant coach, Megan. Is it Burdica?
Burdica.
Yes.
Yep.
What do you like about her as she helps you with both with the men and the women? What is she bringing to the table as far as being your assistant coach?
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't do anything. So no, I'm just kidding. Meg is absolutely amazing. She has been a huge blessing. When I came in, she was here the 2 years before I got here. So when I got here, she gave me a rundown of the entire team. So even though I was new, I felt like I knew people. I felt like I had an idea of what was going on. She also filled me in on the past and the last couple of years and maybe where some fractured relationships were, maybe fractured trust or whatever it might have been. And so that helped me get off onto a good start. Outside of that, she works here kind of two jobs. She works with tennis. She works with our IT department. So she oftentimes will come to IT in the morning and then tennis in the afternoon. And it doesn't matter what kind of day she's had at IT. She works extremely hard, but it doesn't matter what kind of day she's had. She comes to practice positive, energy, excited to be there. Both teams, the girls love her, the guys love her, the guys respect her, which I think is awesome. But she does everything. She does anything that we've asked. She's just a great friend. We're very close, which like kind of a sister that I never had. So she's been great. She's been, like I said, just a huge blessing, and she does everything for our team. She does so much for the school. So having her, I don't know what I'd do without her. So having her has been awesome for me.
Coach, first 5, 3, and 2 combined, so you got to like that. You're going off. Yep. You got those two matches we talked about. I'm just curious, as we close up shop here this evening, what kind of equipment do you play? Are you playing with Penn balls? Is it Wilson? And then when I was growing up, the racket to have was a Prince racket. Update me on the gear because I like to pretend I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, that's fair. So it's a good question. So we're supposed to be using Wilson balls. Okay. We are using Wilson balls. Okay. Like everybody else in the world, there's a tennis ball shortage for some odd reason.
Of course there is.
So getting tennis balls, exactly. Yeah. Getting tennis balls this year has been an absolute nightmare. So we have our Wilson balls. We have to. We're very diligent with how we use them because we don't want to run out because I don't know if we're going to be able to find any more. So Wilson ball, that's the official ITA ball, so we use it for everything. Rackets, sadly, Prince is probably not one of the big ones anymore.
Really? So passé.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit in the past. So head rackets, Wilson rackets, Babolat rackets, those are probably our biggest ones. I think head's probably our most popular. It's what I play with. So those are probably the ones to know these days.
Coach, we appreciate your time. Mr. Carlisle, it's been a pleasure. Each coach that we get to meet, we get to talk about new sports. We have a lot of fun with it, and it seems like Dr. Dreyer has made another excellent hire, and the energy campus-wide. It doesn't matter whether you're getting it done in Bible study, in the classroom, or out on the court or in the gym or in the pool, whatever it is, there's inspiration there. And so I think Ed and I, we just have a fun time with this. We thank you for your time, and we wish you nothing but success going forward, Coach.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. It's a blessing to be here. Pete Dreyer has done an awesome job building the athletic department, and then obviously we have such a great staff, Tim, Keith, Emily, everybody that helps out with this. So fortunate to be here. Happy to be here.
We'll look forward to seeing you at Wimbledon, Coach.
Yes, thank you. That would be great.
That's Phil Carlisle. For all of us here at the Storm Report, we want to thank Jeff Bowen and, of course, all the coaches around football for the recruiting, and all the coaches as alike here on campus. We thank all of them, and certainly Mr. Carlisle. For Mr. Tim Gosen and my broadcast partner, right over here, Ed Cole, and for Robert Nielsen, I'm your program host, Kevin Derryberry. You watch the Storm Report for episode 16 for February 7th, 2022. Until next time, so long for now. Thank you for watching.